hello, people of the internet. Cheers to leaving Montenegro for a few months. Tomorrow we're going to go fuel up, and start heading towards Greece. So it's going to be a bit of a transit getting to Corfu. That's like basically our next port of call. All the passengers are on board. Everything should be set provision-wise. But I mean, we can also get things in Corfu if we need. We were going to stay on the old town wall, but then have now decided to change to a marina, which is slightly outside of the town, which I think will actually be a vast improvement. I'm not a huge fan of staying on town walls. And I think the plan is 2 nights, and then anchoring at various points around Corfu, but that can always change. I wouldn't mind it being 3 nights, because then we really have time to clean the boat, settle in, you know, all the good stuff. So yeah, I was just thinking about how many moons ago, when I first started getting into permaculture, I took a permaculture course with some people who had a off-the-grid thing that I was volunteering at anyway. And what surprised me most about the course was that there's so much of what you're factoring in is like what the people who live on the plot need, want, prefer. Whereas like I'm a plant person, I always want to think about what's best for the plant. And that's generally how I envisaged gardening. And I think that's how my grandma would have thought about it when I was younger. She was always like talking to the plants and like trying to make it the most convenient for them, not for the humans involved, which was basically herself and maybe some of the other family that she got roped into it, but mostly it was, you know. But I was thinking, you know, it's kind of like that with any job where there's humans involved, which is most jobs, especially if you're in like a sort of service industry type situation. Like even if you're like an accountant and you think, oh, I just need to be really good at math and systems and like government forms and stuff, but actually you kind of need to be good at like communicating with people and like making their lives easier, which is kind of like the point of most jobs in essence, like serving the people that need your service. So yeah, it's not just about the thing, it's about working around the people. I think yachting is definitely the same, especially with private yachts. Obviously charters it also, but then the people are always changing, so then you're forever adapting to different people, which I think is like much more interesting in a lot of ways, honestly. And then obviously you make more money and it's like kind of less changing all the time because the schedules have to be set. If they're chartering at a certain time, they can't really change that generally. Anyway, yeah, so I was just thinking about that. Most jobs, including the one I'm currently doing, you really have to work around the people. It's not about the actual necessarily just the skills and the knowledge of whatever industry you're in. A lot of it just has to do with making sure that you are adapting to the other humans that you're supposed to be making their lives easier or better or whatever. So that was my thought. Yeah. It's been a long weekend. I think it's going to be longer next week. But Corfu should be interesting. I'm also excited to do the Corinthian Canal Passage. Is that what it's called? I don't know. To get to the other side of Greece. Should be interesting, and I think then, yeah, the only thing is there's like so many more guests than I thought there was, and changing, and once we get to Corfu there's like one person leaving and one person coming, and two people coming the same day, so it's going to be very busy for me. And I think that's when we are in the marina. So I might not have a huge amount of time to actually leave the boat. But hopefully not 0 time. I might just have to sacrifice sleep at some point and maybe go off one morning for a little bit, because they seem to sort of get up late, so I can get up and do some, like, clean the common area and then just like take off. And then once they've left about the boat, then I can do everything else in the afternoon. So that's a vague plan, but I don't really want to think about it too much, because it's really like just about getting this passage done, hopefully without incident, and hopefully everyone is a happy chappy by the end, you know, bobbing and weaving with all these other humans that I just